What's up everyone? I'm Twisted. We just got a brand new cinematic for League of Legends titled Twilight's End, and oh boy was it eventful. There's a lot of details to cover here and a lot of theories to be had as well. In this video I'm going to explain everything we see happening in the cinematic, and in my next video I'll be going over all the theories and everything that's left to be explained. So please subscribe so you don't miss out.
You do not belong here, Seneschal.
The cinematic begins with Zaahen's voice and this strange place, before cutting to Shin and Yunara inside the temple. As we'll see, this conversation is actually happening later, but it's being layered on top of these scenes.
Mortals should not meddle with the power of gods. Is that what you are? Gods?
Well, yes, but technically no. Ascended are gods in the sense that they are much more powerful than mortals, and that's usually as far as the term god goes in Runeterra. Zaahen here is mostly just trying to scare Shin. On top of the temple we can see this strange magic, a reminder that this is a magical temple currently hidden in the spirit realm.
Gods? I am not your answer. Only evil deferred. Evil does not relinquish power.
This dialogue is a follow-up to the last comic we got. There, Shin concluded that to defeat his enemies, he would need to wield a Darkin weapon. But Zaahen told him that that was not the answer, and here he tells him the same thing again. We've seen this location before, in the dark vision that Shin had. We know that this was the tree where Zaahen's glaive was hidden, this likely being the same place from the Truth comic where he asked the Kinku to seal him in his weapon. Now Atakhan broke the tree and stole the glaive. In the vision, we saw the demon grabbing the glaive, and here we see it fully merging with one of its arms, just like its model on the Summoner's Rift.
I am not your answer. Only evil deferred. Evil does not relinquish power.
Zaahen says he's not Shin's answer. He calls himself evil, but Shin does not believe him. If Zaahen was as evil as he says, he wouldn't have given up the power he had. He wouldn't have asked to be sealed and hidden. And of course, as Shin says this, we see LeBlanc, the real villain, the evil that won't relinquish power. Why she's just revealing her true form like this, I have no idea. Maybe she wasn't counting on the two heroes surviving this encounter. The battle begins and we see Atakhan's influence spread to the temple, just like in Shin's vision.
You must have known you could not hide forever. No one returns from beyond the veil.
Shin says that Zaahen must have known that he couldn't hide forever, to which he replies that nothing returns from beyond the veil. When people die in Runeterra, their spirits drift to the spirit realm, and of course, people usually don't come back from the dead. Usually. But Runeterra is a place where many things can happen, including the existence of beings capable of traversing between realms. So I'm not sure how confident Zaahen really was that he would never be found or return to the mortal realm. While editing, I also realized that this could be foreshadowing Shin's fate. He went beyond the veil and he's not returning.
Seen beyond the veil. Watched as the spirit of the First Lands roared to life.
We see the power of Yunara's beads, the Ion Erna. We don't know much about them besides the fact that they are powerful Kinku artifacts. The centuries Yunara spent in the spirit realm have made her a very powerful user of these artifacts. She uses her powers to subdue Atakhan, and it's then that LeBlanc's chains appear, flying towards Yunara, but thankfully Shin is able to block them in time. Here, I really love the texture detail on the Petricite steel. All of these colors make so much sense when you consider that Petricite absorbs magic, and the tip of this spear has experienced a lot of it in Ionia. And speaking of absorbing magic, that's exactly what it does against LeBlanc's chains. We can see her red magic entering the spear. It's such a nice detail.
I have seen beyond the veil. Watched as the spirit of the First Lands roared to life. Only to see it all burned away in an instant.
XIN says that he has seen beyond the veil, and watched as the spirit of Ionia roared to life, only to see it all burned away in an instant. At first, I was inclined to believe that XIN was speaking about the Noxian invasion here, and that might very well be true, but as far as we know, he was not in Ionia to experience that. He was taken by Noxians when he was very young, so it's possible that he's simply talking about Yunara and her powers here, especially because he says this right before Yunara is hit, and the following line is him saying that Yunara has fallen. But I'm not 100% sure about this, these lines do feel a bit out of place here. LeBlanc's chains reach Yunara and her grip on Atakhan falters. We see the spirits being extinguished, which again is likely what XIN is referring to. Here we can see Atakhan impaling the glaive on the ground, a reminder that Atakhan is not a host for the Darkin weapon, he's just grabbing onto it and wielding it like a normal weapon, as much as a demon like this can do it, at least. This might have also saved Yunara, as the shockwave pushes her away, and the next time we see her, the chains have disappeared.
Yunara has fallen, and the temple's defenses are destroyed.
What defenses were those exactly? So much for the trials of Twilight. All we saw was a vision of XIN's past and a fake dark future, and that was it. As for Yunara, we didn't even get to see what her trial was about. I guess from a meta perspective, you could extend the trials to what is happening in this cinematic, at least in terms of narrative, because in universe, the trials are over, they got inside the temple. But really, what were the temple's defenses? Atakhan and LeBlanc entered the temple when it was in the mortal realm. According to the last comic, the trials only work in the spirit realm. So are the defenses just the wards that canon mentions in the Battle of Koshin? I have no idea. Atakhan takes the glaive off the ground and then impales XIN with it, except no it doesn't. The glaive is still there. If we look closely, the demon actually used one of its arms. Then surprise, Yunara is still kicking and she saves XIN. Where is LeBlanc during all of this? Don't worry about it.
There is no one left.
XIN says there's no one left, probably forgetting about all the other Kinko members waiting for them outside the spirit realm. Jokes aside, this is obviously here to build tension. What will Zaahen do? Will he use his powers for good or sit idly?
Your power will darken the world, with or without your permission.
Just like in the comic, XIN sees no other option but a Darkin weapon. He taps onto it and we cut to another location. This is likely Zaahen's mind, inside the weapon. It's here that the conversation that we've been hearing is taking place. We see that Zaahen's mind looks like a vast desert. My interpretation is that this is likely both a reference to his Shuriman origin, but also to how he is and has been alone for centuries. This is the prison he chose. An endless ocean of sand and solitude. But this sand is tainted by black puddles, Atakhan's influence spreading through Zaahen. This ties to what XIN is saying, Zaahen's powers being used to darken the world. And XIN makes a great point. Even if Zaahen remains passive, his powers would still be used for evil. This ties back to what I explained in my video on the last comic. The choice between being passive or fighting back is at the core of the narrative of Ionia, the consequences of one's actions or inactions in times of conflict. It's cool seeing this part of the narrative persisting even when characters from other regions are involved. Shurima doesn't have these peaceful traditions and concepts of balance, yet Zaahen's experiences, centuries of war and carnage, led him to the same inner conflict as many Ionian champions. In his case, because he feared the destruction he himself could bring.
You know not what you ask. I know exactly what I ask. You've sacrificed everything to save this world once. Let me do the same. I cannot hold him.
XIN's spirit begins to break. I interpreted this as him dying. He's already going to be gone because of Atakhan's strike, regardless of Zaahen's choice. Speaking of Zaahen, Here we get a face reveal. His ascended form was a transformation that he went through, but he was still born as a mortal. So it makes sense that his soul, his essence, still retains this form. His outfit is somewhat similar to the one he had as an ascended, and the sun in his forehead was also present. His fingers are painted in gold, likely referencing the sun powers he touched and wielded.
You sacrificed everything to save this world once. Let me do the same.
Shin appeals to Zaahen, saying that he too wants to sacrifice everything to save the world. The cinematic really frames this as an important choice for Shin, but in reality this is a much more important choice for Zaahen. Shin is already dying. The choice he's making is much more about his trust in Zaahen than anything else.
I cannot hold him.
Shin extends his spear and Zaahen takes it. The eye on the glaive shines red, expelling Atakhan's influence. Zaahen is finally fighting back. And so the transformation begins. We see Shin's armor changing. We see horns coming out of his head, scales forming on his arms, his whole body becoming something different. Shin's spirit breaks into petals. He's dead, gone. XIN ZHAO is no more. There is only Zaahen. And oh, the pain in Zaahen's face. This is not something he wants to do. This reminded me of the moment in the Truth comic where Yunara mentions that killing his own brothers broke Zaahen's heart more and more. He seems to be much more kind and empathetic than some of his brethren. Shin's face is now Zaahen's. The eye on the glaive now also shows up in his forehead, exactly where the sun was. On his back we can see what I believe is the wound left by Atakhan. This is where Shin was impaled. With one single strike, it destroys Atakhan and LeBlanc, though the latter only turns into shadow. She is never truly gone after all, but she is at least pleasantly surprised, and we'll see why in a second. We see Zaahen freed from his prison, now using Shin's body. Gold magic all around him, something I plan to cover in my next video. This part ends with Zaahen and Yunara looking at each other, reunited at last, centuries later. This also mirrors the first cinematic of Season 2, which ended with Shin and Yunara almost looking at each other. Except now it's Yunara looking up, and Shin, well, Shin is no longer there.
Even demons can be undone.
The cinematic ends by taking us back to LeBlanc's White Room. This is where it all began, the first location we ever saw in this year's lore in the Welcome to Noxus cinematic. Atakhan's helmet, the object that was binding it to LeBlanc's will, crumbles. The demon is gone for good. LeBlanc is pleased as she realizes that even demons can be destroyed. As she says this, we pan to a wall where we see one of Swain's ravens. It's possible that this is the raven, as in Rom itself, the demon that Swain made a deal with, but this could just be one of the smaller ravens, and this is just symbolic of both Rom and Swain. Obviously here LeBlanc is concluding that there might be a way to defeat them for good. Next to this we can spot something, but since I'm not 100% sure what this is, I'll be discussing it in my next video. Now, was this her plan all along? To find a way to destroy a demon permanently? Well, that's something I'll also be discussing in my next video. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Let me know if I missed anything, and also let me know your theories down below. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, it's free and you can always change your mind later. I'm Twisted and I'll see you guys in the next video.